Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I've been using the iPhone 14 for the past week. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what I love about it, my honest opinion. I'm going to go over some specs, camera, and I'm going to also talk about the price as well. Now let's first start off with the design. Starting with the overall design of this particular device. Well, we have the diagonal cameras, and I am using a clear case. Let me go ahead and remove it. Look at the design on this iPhone. We do have the diagonal camera layout with the wonderful sort of gloss texture around the back and the matte texture around the cameras. On my iPhone 12, I had the vertical cameras, but on the iPhone 13, they switched to the diagonal cameras, and this is the 14. Now, there is a really cool feature that I might have showed off in my day in the life video. Now, this is for the iPhone 14 and newer. Whenever you go ahead and power off the iPhone, it makes a really nice chime. Now, I'm going to go ahead and power it on so you guys can hear it again. Now, that is the wonderful chime that it makes when you power off and power on the device. As far as how my iPhone 14 has held up for the last week, well, it's been pretty good, honestly. I love the sort of aluminum sides and the gloss back. And the diagonal camera is really nice. The fact that you can unlock with Face ID and landscape orientation, and also this wallpaper. This is actually a photo that I took in my backyard as I was going over the camera test, but you guys will see that in just a moment. And speaking of the cameras, on the rear, we have two 12-megapixel cameras. The wide camera is an f1.5 aperture. The ultra-wide is an f2.4. We also do have that smaller notch, and in that smaller notch is an f1.9 aperture, 12-megapixel front-facing camera. I will go ahead and share the camera tests right now. Here I am recording from the 12-megapixel wide camera, f1.9 aperture on the iPhone 14. As if I walk around my backyard here, you guys can see the camera quality in action here. And as you see, walking across the backyard, we have the bushes and the trees and whatnot. And then we also have the wide camera, which is an f2.4 aperture, 12 megapixel as well. Now I also want to try out action mode as well, recording. So I'm going to try to maybe run to the bushes and see if we can record action mode with image stabilization. Let's test this out right now so that I can see how this works, because I do not quite understand how this works. Hopefully you guys can hear me. It isn't too windy for the microphone, but let's see how this works. Not going too fast here. All right, now we're gonna go back, testing out the action mode camera that the iPhone 14 has. I'm just gonna walk back. Hopefully when I edit it in CapCut, we get some good footage here. So that is the action mode on the iPhone 14. Here is clip number 2 of action mode. Let's see if we can see how we can get it to work here. I'm gonna try my best to keep the subject focused, but I'm not gonna be looking at my phone. Let's do this. Hopefully you guys got that on camera as I am testing out action mode on the iPhone 14. Here is cinematic mode on my iPhone 14. And I'm not really noticing any blur effects. I have the iPhone 14 set to 4K 30 cinematic mode. If I capture the bushes, I am recording in 4K 30 with the new cinematic mode on the iPhone 14. Here I am recording from the 12 megapixel f1.9 aperture front-facing camera on the iPhone 14. You can see me in direct sunlight. Hopefully you guys can see me here on the iPhone 14. This does have pretty great cameras, and I will export these in CapCut because I'm actually going to be inside doing my review video. I'm just recording these beforehand because while I can see this iPhone outside, since it's a lot brighter than my iPhone 12, which had 625 nits of brightness, this iPhone has 800 nits, but the camera cannot see my device and it looks dark and sort of very dim on camera. So I'm just recording these clips since I'm out here, but the front-facing camera is pretty nice. So this iPhone does have really great cameras, and I know I kind of sort of already did a speaker test with the power off and power on chime that I kind of showed in the video. But I'm just gonna sort of show a video I uploaded yesterday here. Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech. And in this video, I will be comparing the iPhone 14 to the Samsung Galaxy A15 5G. I will go over their camera specifications and the price and more all in this video. So as far as how the speakers have held up, they have held up pretty good. The speakers are really great on this particular device. Now, as far as longevity and processing power, well, this iPhone 14 has the Apple A14 or A15 rather Bionic chip. The A15 Bionic chip that was in the iPhone 13 Pro models, as we have an extra GPU core. So what that means is you will have better overall experience with games and different things like that. And we also have more RAM on both the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 combined. This iPhone 14 has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Though things can still refresh, as I was playing or testing out different games like Call of Duty Mobile and Real Racing 3, and those games sort of refresh different things in the background. I won't play those games in this video as I don't want to get copyrighted for the sound, but the RAM on this device can still refresh. But most likely when I'm doing other things, it would refresh a whole lot quicker on my iPhone 12, as that device only has 4 gigs of RAM. Now, storage-wise, that's the best thing. This iPhone 14 has 128 gigabytes. So I came from a 64 gig iPhone 12. And as you can see, I currently have, if I can get the camera to focus here, 59.7 gigabytes remaining on my iPhone 14. 59.7. Whereas on my iPhone 12, that number would say something like 11.7 or 10.7 or even 12.7. The storage on my iPhone 12 was just not that great because it was a 64 gig device. Whereas on my iPhone 14, I have 128 gigabytes of internal storage. So that is overall the best thing on my wonderful iPhone 14. Now, as far as longevity with this particular iPhone, I predict that this iPhone will stop receiving updates sometime in 2029. So you're at least guaranteed 3 years of major iOS updates. So that would be iOS 27, iOS 28, and also iOS 29 in 2028. However, that is where it will end at iOS 29. iOS 29 will be its last version. It will not get iOS 30. But after that, you can expect security updates to fix bugs and different things like that with the iPhone 14. As far as my overall performance with this iPhone, well, I'm on the latest iOS 26.4 developer beta 4. And how it performs exceptionally wonderful. This iPhone 14 performs pretty good on iOS 26.4 beta 4, and it is really smooth. If we go into apps such as music and we test some performance, you can see there I just got a splash screen. If we go into music here, and I'm just going to click out of that, everything loads up nice and quickly. If we go to the next thing, honestly, no lag in this device from what I can see. If I go into Apple Podcast here, we don't get any splash screens here. Performance is, again, pretty smooth on the iPhone 14. So honestly, overall performance is a 10 out of 10 with this particular device. It performs wonderful on iOS 26.4 Developer Beta 4. And now that I've used this iPhone for about 1 week, I've got to live with the iPhone 14 and test it out and honestly give an overall opinion about this particular device. And honestly, it is a really great iPhone. Now, I do have a clear case to protect this particular device, and it does have sort of grips on the side. And not only that, but it also has sort of like a raised sort of lip around like the camera here. It has a raised lip around the camera to protect those wonderful diagonal cameras on the iPhone 14. As far as pricing, and while I mentioned that this is a 128 gig model, you also can get it in 256 and 512. And since we're talking about pricing, you can find the iPhone 14 for as low as $270. If you look on different places, like sort of different marketplaces in good condition, you can find this particular device for as low as $270, so under $300 if you get the 128 gig model in good condition. Now, if you want to go for 512 gigabytes, you can get that for as low as under $500, but it does get a little bit expensive at $430. So that is still reasonable though, and it's still budget friendly. Now, it's more easier to recommend this iPhone to someone rather than recommending a 64 gig iPhone. Because my iPhone 12, I would not recommend the low storage model to anyone, as it's a 64 gig device. Now, as far as anything else with this iPhone, my honest opinion, well, honestly, I love this iPhone. That's really, in a nutshell, an opinion that I can say. I love this iPhone. It's been reliable. Well, as far as the battery on this thing, I will say, while it does have 85% battery health, and I'm not sure, I guess because my thumb is blocking the camera here, I am recording off of my iPad, and I will have a 4 years later video coming out this coming Thursday for my iPad Air 4th generation. I can't believe I've had this iPad for 4 years. I am currently recording off of it. If I just go in the front-facing camera and show you guys here, you guys can see I am recording off of my iPad Air. This is my 2020 iPad Air 4th generation. But as far as pricing and storage, well, I mentioned the price and the storage of this iPhone. In my honest opinion, it's been a really great device. Though when testing out battery life, it's kind of hit or miss. Now, this does have 85% battery health, as it's not a new battery, but it is, fortunately, a genuine battery, which is one thing I was kind of worried about when getting this device, as I did not want to get a fake battery. I did not even want to get fake parts, as because I test battery life, and if I show you guys here, my battery health is at 85%. And testing that battery health, or the battery life rather, 5 hours, 41 minutes screen on time, 15 minutes screen off time. Now, I did share a post on YouTube about my overall battery here. You can see it was not that great. 4 hours, 41 minutes screen on time, 12 minutes screen off time, and I ended the day with 23%. I actually had to charge up midday because it went to 30 something. And then I guess heavy usage can drain the battery faster, but that might just be because I'm on a beta. This is running iOS 26.4 developer beta 4. And if you are running an iOS beta like I am, you can always report things in the feedback app if you experience bugs. I am a late stage beta tester, so I don't experience that many bugs, though there is a bug on the iPad when I'm using Google Photos and I press the share sheet menu in landscape or in the windowing system. Google Photos will crash. And I will cover that tomorrow in my iOS 26.4 follow-up video. I will cover the crashing of Google Photos on the iPad. Now, honestly, overall, this has been a really great iPhone, and using it for 1 week, it's been just hands down a very great device. And this is a photo I took. Obviously, I clarified that at the beginning of the video. If you guys want to know the wallpaper, unfortunately, I cannot provide a link. I cannot provide a link to any of my wallpapers as I get them off of the internet. I know you guys might want to find these wallpapers. Some of these wallpapers are on different places. Like this one here is the iPad Air wallpaper and the iPhone wallpaper for the iPhone 16e, or 17e, I mean. But those are the wallpapers. But this one is just a photo I took in my backyard. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.